I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you.
So here on the PBD podcast, Patrick Beck Davis has Terrance Howard as a special guest, and they're talking about how Howard had these encounters with Diddy and things that he's seen in the industry. And it's crazy how there's still stories coming out about Diddy, and he's just locked up still. And I guess once you're worth $1 billion, your views in life change. But here on the PBD podcast, Howard is talking about the Hollywood industry and the things that he has seen. Let's keep watching and see how this unravels.
Fighting.
Because to me, I've seen you in a lot of movies, but that role was my favorite one of yours. The way you did the voice, the way you walked, the way you moved. What was the character's name, Rob?
Harvey Borden.
Yeah, Harvey Borden. How did that come about? That specific character.
Dito Montiel, one of the best directors I've ever worked with. He directed that. He also directed A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints. I mean, it's a really beautiful director, but he took me through New York. The character was supposed to be like LL Cool J driving a Hummer, pant leg rolled up, it's supposed to be some money guy, and it did not fit what he was doing in the thing. So the director took me through New York. We were walking, and he was like, he tied a string to my leg to shorten my gape so that I about 6 inches. So I didn't have the stride that I wanted. And he put a briefcase in my hand, and he said, I want you to imagine yourself as a 65-year-old Jewish woman trying to express herself inside of an urban area.
65-year-old Jewish woman.
That was Harvey Borden. He was a 65. He had the statements and the intonations and the way he acted, the way he argued, everything. It was like a 65-year-old Jewish woman. That was the basis of my character.
Yeah, that movie was phenomenal. The chanting. And by the way, this is a year after Iron Man, right? Because that came out in 2009. So Iron Man, I read somewhere, I almost didn't believe it, so I'm going to verify it with you. Iron Man, it says you were the highest paid guy in that movie at $4.5 million, and they only paid Robert Downey Jr. $500,000. Is that accurate?
Maybe. I don't know what they paid him exactly, but they weren't giving him any grace, and he was phenomenal. He deserved to get higher pay later on. He really did, from the work he did.
Why was it? Did you guys ever talk about it? Like $500,000 for Robert Downey Jr.?
No, he was just coming in. They remember after we did the first one and it made $1 billion, they still came to all of us and was like, I know we're supposed to pay you $8 million for the next one, but and we did a 3-picture deal. We're gonna let you come back for $1 million. For 1/8 of what even though we had a success with what we did, we're going to let you come back for $1 million.
Let you come back?
They did that to all of the actors. Marvel came and did the shakedown on everybody.
Why would they do that, though?
Because they can.
Yeah, but when you think about movies like that, don't you think like the main guys make 10, 20 million per picture?
Later on they do, once they get the lock-in. Robert was smart enough, because I bet you by the third one, he got his 20 million. And I can't fault him. The shit that happened to me. That's just part of the business.
So I'm going to pause it here real quick. I'm not going to lie. Iron Man is really one of my favorite movies. And I honestly did not know that Howard was the paid actor in the first one. And it's crazy what happened to him, how they booted him out or kicked him out or like grabbed his hand, twisted his hand and forced him out the project. But besides this whole scientist stuff that he's in, his new journey, he really is a great actor. And then that first movie shows it. I don't know if you guys ever seen the movie Hustle and Flow. Great movie.
It eats you alive. It's not mean. It's just the nature of the monster.
So you were only in one of the Iron Men.
Just on one.
And what caused it not to come back? Because you were...
They said they were going in a different direction in the character, because my character was supposed to take over the franchise, but Robert did such a brilliant job that they were like, okay, that's why they hired me first. Because my character was supposed to be Rhodes and was supposed to take over. So it was the most important part of it. But with the work that Robert did was so phenomenal. I mean, I became a fan of his for life, but he was so phenomenal that they allowed him, that he was able to continue that walk.
So on the second one, Rob, what does it say? That
$10 million up front.
To who?
To Robert Downey Jr., as well as back-end deals tied to the film's performance. And then for the third one, a salary of $10 million with total earnings reportedly reaching $50 million after, which include profit participation.
Man,
I will say he earned it. I'm not mad at him. I should have watched my back door. I was so busy trying to help other people. I should have watched my own back door, and that's a lesson that you've got to learn. You can't take it personal.
Terrance, you work with a lot of guys in the space. Who was one where you were enamored, where you're on set and you're just watching saying, what was this all about? Who shocked you a little bit?
Oh, wow, that's a big question. That made me just sit there and take notes. Nick Nolte was the only one. Every take he came in, we applauded him. We gave him a standing ovation. Every take, every single take, because he was so dynamic in what he was doing. I've never met a better actor in my life that just shuts me up. I'm like, okay.
Nick Nolte was in the movie Warrior with Tom Hardy and Gavin O'Connor, I love that movie, but he was also in Blue Chip. Was he Coach in Blue Chip with Shaq?
Coach in Blue Chip, yeah.
He was in Coach in Blue Chip, wow. Yeah, he was...
My favorite performance of him is what he did in The Hulk. That conversation that he was having with Eric Bana, the conversation, he channeled everything. He never holds anything back. So I love actors that just really pours it out. Like, I can't keep up with Joaquin Phoenix no more. Joaquin has taken off. He's in a place where the disbelief that I can't do anymore because I've been rooted into trying.
So what's the first time you met him?
With who?
Joaquin.
Joaquin was when we were doing, he was nominated with me when we were doing, he was nominated for Walk the Line. I was nominated for Hustle and Flow. So we were in the whole circuit.
That's the first
together.
time.
That's the first time.
Did you guys ever do anything together?
Nope.
Never have?
Nope.
Dude,
it was me, him, Heath Ledger. He was in the run with us. It was Philip Seymour Hoffman running with us.
That's the same. What
and
four
two of those
names?
people are dead now.
I know. Heath
out
and
of
Philip.
the five, yeah.
Wow.
Out of the five, that was us. So, there's a short life in
Why do you think that is? What the creative side is?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much shit to try and deal with life. You are literally, it's an unhealthy space. And so eventually you're going to go too far, Who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what Heath had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head, But when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what
Do you guys agree with Howard on the causes of these Hollywood actors when they start to reel off because they give their man card in exchange for favors in the business? Like going to like the Diddy parties or all those things. Like, this is kind of a sensitive subject because there's many factors that can go into losing your man card. But listen, if you're into that, cool, live in your truth. Do not let no one compromise you from your truth. But for me, that's not mine. I do agree with Terrance Howard. He's basically saying don't do things like that to take shortcuts in life, because in the long-term effects, they outweigh what you ever got in return.
You're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, But when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. You know, who knows what happened to Philip? Who knows what he had to do in order to get to where he was at? There's a lot of things that people do that end up sitting and they can't get over it. And they got to keep getting high, hoping to get it out of their head. You know, but when you lose your man card, that's the only thing I can think of. You lose your damn man card.
What is that? What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it. A man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm saying. You don't get that back. You come into this world as a man one time. You give up that right for anything, for fear of being hurt, fear of somebody doing something, for wanting to gain something. When you give up that man card right, you lose some spiritual energy that has always been pushing through. Like if a woman gives up her womanly right of being a mother and taking care of her family and do all those things, when you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Get punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid, it's gone. You don't have any foundation to pull yourself back from. So maintain your man card no matter what.
Man, I mean, you know, one of the things you're seeing, you went to a whole different place.
Sorry.
No, I get it. So you see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head. The things that they did, no matter how they did it, whether they were drunk or high or whatever, you gave up your man card. You need therapy. And that's the thing that hurts them the most. And so they end up on drugs, end up every way to try and get rid of any principles there are. And that's what the business does. And the women that trade their bodies to go and get the role, they get to the point where they have their Oscar, they have their money, but they don't have their dream. They don't have the soul that they started with. So it's like achieving don't mean anything. If I get all the Nobel Prizes from doing all of this, but in the process I have to trade out all of my integrity to do it so that they can stay in place, what benefit is that if I lose my integrity? You got to go in as a principal. And what we were brought in here as men. We produce 1,500 sperm per heartbeat for a reason, because the aggression is necessary. You don't trade that in, no matter what.
Did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and you said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks asking.